You have more friends than your grandfather ever did. Not real friends, maybe, but connections, the kind you count in followers and mutuals and group chats that light up your phone at 2 a.m. with photos of parties you weren't invited to. The kind of alone that isn't peaceful and rainy and book-filled, but the gnawing scrolling at midnight alone. And here's the paradox that will nest under your skin and stay there. The more connected America becomes, the more isolated Americans feel. We have the highest social media usage on the planet, and one of the highest rates of self-reported loneliness. A major study a couple of years ago found that more than a third of Americans report serious loneliness, not the "I'd like a hug" kind, but the "I have no one to talk to about my day" kind. That's a bigger health impact than obesity, comparable to smoking a pack a day, shaving 15 years off a life, and we don't treat it as a crisis because we've moralized it. In Japan, loneliness is expected. In Italy, family solves it. But America made loneliness a personal failure. If you're lonely, you aren't trying hard enough, you aren't networking enough, posting enough, swiping enough. So we do what we do best. We try harder. We download another app, join another group, post another carefully cropped photo of ourselves laughing with people we barely tolerate, and every time we do, loneliness tightens because loneliness isn't a lack of context, it's a lack of depth, and depth cannot be scaled. The neuroscience is brutal here. Your brain's oxytocin system, the bonding chemical, only activates when you have mutual, vulnerable, extended eye contact with someone who knows your flaws. Not likes, not comments, not DMs, but actual sweaty, imperfect FaceTime. Yet American culture spent a generation optimizing for efficiency, and efficiency hates depth because a phone call is inefficient compared to a text, a 2-hour dinner inefficient compared to a 15-minute coffee, a friendship that requires showing up when someone's world crumbles is deeply inefficient. So we replaced the inefficient with the scalable, and now an entire nation is starving for a nutrient our apps cannot provide. And here's the reversal that makes this worth sitting through twice. The loneliest Americans are not the introverts or the elderly. They are the hyper-connected, the influencer with 1 million followers who admits she hasn't had a real conversation in years, the college student with hundreds of Snapchat streaks who can't name one person he'd call at 3 a.m., the suburban parent in group chats with 40 neighbors who still feels like a stranger when they pass each other's driveways. Because connection without vulnerability is just performance, and performing for an audience is the loneliest job in the world. Let me tell you about a man, Marcus, a successful real estate agent, hundreds of LinkedIn connections, a couple hundred Facebook friends, a weekly poker game with 5 guys he'd known since high school. He sat in a therapist's office and said, "I feel like a ghost, like I'm watching my own life from outside my body." The therapist asked when he last cried in front of someone. He couldn't remember. When he last said, "I'm scared," out loud. Silence. When he last sat with another person in complete silence for 10 minutes without checking his phone, he laughed bitterly. Never. That would be weird. And that's the indictment. We've made vulnerability weird. We've made stillness weird. We've made the slow, boring, inefficient work of actual friendship feel like a waste of time. So Marcus did something stupidly hard. He deleted all social media for 60 days, not to be productive or start a newsletter, but just to see what happened. The first 2 weeks, the silence was deafening. He felt even lonelier. Then something shifted. He called one of the poker guys, and instead of talking real estate or sports, he said, "I'm not doing great." And the guy said, "Me neither." And they sat on the phone for an hour in the uncomfortable, glorious mess of being human. Marcus later said that 1 hour was worth more than 10,000 likes, because likes are applause and applause ends. But one person saying, "Me neither," lasts forever. The American cognitive paradox sits right here. We built the most elaborate system of communication in human history and forgot how to talk. We worship independence, so we refuse to need anyone. We glorify the self-made, so we hide our cracks. We treat loneliness as a bug that more technology will fix when technology is the virus. The only Americans who escape the loneliness trap are the ones who deliberately disconnect not from the internet, but from the performance. They tell one person the truth. They ask for help. They sit in silence and let someone see them cry. And in that moment, loneliness doesn't vanish because they got more followers. It vanishes because they stopped trying to impress people who don't matter and started terrifying the people who do by showing them who they really are. Right now, your brain might want to close this because what you just heard is a threat. It suggests that 100 hours of scrolling were a waste, that the loneliness you feel isn't a glitch but the actual product. And yet, if something in you relaxes just a little, if you feel an impulse to send this to someone you haven't called in 6 months, that's not about me. That's your brain clawing its way back to depth, a thread worth pulling. And you'll know that following that impulse, not with a comment, but with a phone call where you say, "I miss you," is the first act of real connection. You remember the question from the beginning, why the most connected nation feels the most alone. The answer that first viewing hid in plain sight is that connection without cost is counterfeit, and you've been paying with loneliness for a currency that was never real. So put the phone down, go find one person, say something real. The silence after that might just save your life. Now go be inefficient for an hour. That's an order.